Hey everyone, welcome to Art Studio Fundamentals. I am your professor for this semester. My name is Jackie, and we are going to. Yay, it worked! Okay, good. I'm going to give you chapter one. So, the book is called Exploring Art, and I will go into it in the syllabus or in the welcome video. So, make sure you watch the welcome video. But this is chapter one, Introduction to Art. So, art and art making. So humans are to understand life to communicate emotions and ideas or to create something beautiful. That's why we make art, right? Or to feel beauty. That's why I like to make art too, is to feel, I don't know, like I'm part of something else, you know? So there are many ways to appreciate and understand art. Art is primarily a visual medium used to express ideas about our human experience in the world around us. Art is not a universal and fixed definition. On the left here we have Picasso's Cubist, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. And then we have, on the right, we have Botticelli, The Birth of Venus. Right? They're two distinct art pieces, very different from each other in terms of look and feel and vibes, right? So art can be understood by focusing on the function, the visual form, the content, and what we call aesthetics. So some of the functions of art, they assist in rituals, they reflect customs, they communicate, they help us imagine the divine, they commemorate the dead, they glorify the state or whatever kind of political thing, protests, political and social. They celebrate war and conquest. They promote cohesion. They record likeness. And they educate us and entertain us. Art has visual form. It allows the work to be seen or touched and ideas to be communicated. So visual form includes the formal elements, line, shape, color, texture, mass, volume, and space. The composition, which is the arrangement of the formal elements, and the materials from which the artwork is made. So on the left, we have a Nigerian sculpture. It looks like from before 1938. Of course, it's from before 1938. And then on the right, we have an ancient Roman sculpture. And both sculptures kind of are trying to showcase the power, the ruler's power, the king's power, right? And that's kind of how we learn about culture, right? A culture in ancient civilization, what do we look at? We look at the cave drawings. We look at the art in, how they portrayed themselves, these different civilizations. So that's how we can learn about other cultures and our history as humans is through art. So art has content. Its ideas are associated with each work. So some of the content is communicated through imagery, symbolic meaning, right? Where it is used or displayed, customs, beliefs, and values of the culture, and writings that explain the work. Like, for instance, this picture, the horse is like he's moving. The horse is in movement, and the horse is commanding, and he's got his hand out, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm here to help you," But he's in movement. He's in power because he is on the horse, right? So just small gestures like that change everything in how we perceive things. 1482. God, I forget that Botticelli was so long ago. It's the Renaissance time. Still so beautiful, though. I love Botticelli's work. Some content is obvious, some is hidden. This is a realistic painting, but the meaning requires deeper study, right? What's going on here? The content is revealed only through the study, and it reflects the cultural movement it was made during, right? So Picasso, 1907, Picasso was a trained and formal artist. And then he just decided he wanted to turn our art upside down. And that's why you're always going to hear a lot about him, is because he created all these new movements. And one of the most significant movements that Picasso created was Cubism. I mean, it just was so different than anything that anyone has ever done. And it's still so pronounced and prolific for the time, really. I still love Cubist work. His Cubism period is my favorite. Right, so some content is obvious, right? Like on the left, we can see that there's an angel and she's being birthed. And here, she's trying to dress her on the, right here, and trying to kind of put some clothes on her to have this new life that, in the Garden of Eden or whatever's going on. And then here, right, we don't even know, is this the same person? And is this all her different faces? Or are these different women in different poses? What are they supposed to represent? A dark and hidden side. Some of them have different faces. Some of them are in different positions. Some of them have their arms up like they're laying down. So maybe it's sexual in content. We don't know. But there's always a lot of hidden meanings behind art, is what we're saying, right? So on the left is a ceremonial mask known as Mboum or Boum in central Zaire from 19th to 20th centuries. It's wood, bead, shells, cloth, and it's a head, right? And influences can cross cultures. Artists like Pablo Picasso were inspired by African masks and modern scientific theories. And so when you kind of understand, like, oh, they really were inspired by this, and you can kind of see how they took that into their painting, right? So cool. The ceremonial mask, known as Mboum or Boum, has hidden and obvious content, and it's used in ritual masquerades. So look at all the different layers and the colors and what the beads represent and the different hides and how it's put together and how it's worn. All of those things create and tell the artistic story, right? Aesthetics. You're going to hear me say this word a lot. This is probably my favorite art word. I say it all the time about everything in life. What is it about the aesthetics that make you feel this way? Or, well, the aesthetics are all wrong here, or whatever. So this is a great word to kind of add to your vocabulary. But it means, so what it involves, it involves the attributes that elevate this particular object above others. It goes beyond individual taste or preferences, right? It is a critical reflection on art, and it reflects the culture's preferences, appreciation, and definition of art. Art and style vocabulary. So we started as aesthetics as part of the vocabulary. This is an illustration from left to right, from naturalistic, idealized, expressive, surreal, abstract, and non-objective drawings. So those are all the different types of styles of art, but we're all looking at the same thing, right? So art is representational when it contains entities from the world in recognizable form. A related term, naturalistic, refers to the recognizable imagery depicted as seen in nature, right? So the very first one right here is the natural form. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Idealized art. So natural imagery is modified and strives for perfection within the bounds, values, and aesthetics of a particular culture. That's an idealized art. Both of these are idealized art. Expressionism. Expressive or expressionistic styles of art communicate heightened emotions and a sense of urgency or spontaneity. Expressive styles appear bold and immediate. They feature distorted, abstracted imagery, and they appear asymmetrical. They also have textured surfaces and thick paint application. Perfect example, the most famous artist to never have lived his real art life, living broke and sad and dying under 40. And yet here we are still talking about him. If only he knew. I hope he does know. Um, yes, I know you all have seen Starry Night by Van Gogh. He's such a big, he's still such a big name. It's kind of amazing. Um, well, because his work is so good. We can talk more about that. But anyway, style. So style can also refer to the work of an individual artist, a unique personal style. Vincent van Gogh is famous for expressive paintings, thick paint with broad areas of strong colors. But on the right, would you think this was the same person as here? Not necessarily. Maybe if you start looking at the style and you look at how he uses his brushstrokes, then you would kind of figure out that that is in the similar vein or style, right? Right, and here's the difference, right? So the right is Paul Gauguin, who Vincent van Gogh was obsessed with. The theory is that he actually took his ear off for Gauguin and sent it to him. But he did send it to a prostitute. But anyway, it's a long story of why, or the motivations were of why he cut his ear off. But let's just say Gauguin was Van Gogh's mentor. And so Van Gogh was heavily influenced by Gauguin's work, the French painter. And they were friends in real life. So they worked together and were part of some of the same scenes. And Van Gogh really looked up to him. So you could see how influenced he was by making his own paintings, versions of it. So note the similarities and differences between Gauguin and Vincent van Gogh's paintings in Madame Junot. What would you say the differences are? Right? First of all, he basically cropped the picture, took out anything that was going on in the background and made it really about her. And in this picture, she's kind of smiling and kind of nodding off. Here, she's looking right at us. You notice that? There, she's not looking at the paint. She's like kind of looking off to the side. Here, she's giving us a much more kind of raw, emotional interpretation, of her than here. Even though it's the same kind, in the same vein, right? Like, of course, it's more Van Gogh's style, but she definitely, it's still more realistic, right? We know that it's a female. We know that she still looks kind of the same. So you could just tell when other artists are influenced by others, it's really interesting how they reinterpret things or appropriate certain things. Okay, surrealism. Yay. So surreal refers to art that contains bizarre or fantastic arrangements of images or materials and taps the workings of the unconscious mind, right? So anything goes when it comes to the unconscious mind. So this is The Persistence of Memory, 1931, oil on canvas, Salvador Dali. So, it's been appropriated. I feel like everybody has seen or heard or understands The Melting Clock, at least, but this is the original painting it was in. So, art and intuitive knowledge. Humans experience the external environment and the internal realm of the mind and the metaphysical world. Art deals with knowledge that humans grasp intuitively, but aren't always able to articulate. This kind of knowing is the product of dreams, visions, and speculative guessing. Surrealism, an early 20th century art movement, explored the unconscious, especially through dream imagery. Surrealists believed the unconscious or dream world was as real as, and probably more important than, the external world. Non-objective art contains imagery generated by the artist. Abstract art is the same as non-objective art. So this is an important distinction. Abstracted imagery may or may not be recognizable, but derived from reality by distorting, enlarging, and or dissecting from nature. So cultural style. This is Takashi Murakami, the manga sculpture in the Venus Drawing Room. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was an exhibition in Versailles in Paris in 2010. And so cultural style consists of recurring and distinctive features that we see in many works of art emanating from a particular place and era. So we have the Grand Mosque, and then we have the Grand Mosque, more modern, right? 1900s mosque versus the Badshahi Mosque from the 1600s. So cultural styles are apparent when studying a particular art form that appears globally. Islamic mosques are built globally. Local solutions are different from each other, right? So that is the difference, right? That one's in Mali, which is on the other side of Africa, right? And then Pakistan. So that's just that they're interpreting the same thing. They're creating this place of worship, but their styles are just so different based on materials, based on the local solutions, and just, the taste of the area. So when you compare the two, they're both dramatic with towers. Each design is influenced by cultural preferences and building materials. So art is part of visual culture, part of the vast amount of imagery that humans create and proliferate. It comes to us through all kinds of media. This is a sculpture gallery in the Beaux Arts in Lyon. I have not been there. I would love to go there. These are examples of fine art from the late 1800s. So some of the categories of visual culture are fine art, popular culture, and craft. That's what we say in the US today. Fine art. Fine art is a category of objects considered to be among the highest cultural achievements of humans, believed to transcend average human works and produced by artists with unique sensibilities, closely associated with museums and galleries. It includes new media, film, photography, prints, installation, performance, video, and computer art. This is in Germany at the largest museum of modern art. Street art is also a potent force in communities. This is in Puerto Rico in 2013, and is referring to the popular culture of cockfighting, right? So street art is a potent force in communities. It's commissioned murals or unsanctioned graffitis and paintings. Definitions of fine art are in flux when Western people look at art from other cultures. In 1880, the mask known as Maboom would not have been displayed in art museums in the US or Europe. Art from Oceania, the Americas, Africa, and Asia is now a prominent part of major art museums in Western cultures, but it wasn't before. Popular culture. In Western nations, popular culture consists of magazines. It used to, right? Magazines. It's not as much. Comics, not as anything printed isn't as much. So then we have TV shows, advertising, folk art, tattoos, customized cars, graffiti, video games, posters, websites, calendars, greeting cards, dolls, souvenirs, toys, movies, snapshots, and commercial photography, graphic design, product design, and information design. Popular art is often perceived as being more accessible, inexpensive, entertaining, commercial, political, naive, and colorful. To the right here, we have Jose Guadalupe Posada, Las Bravísimas Calaveras Guatemaltecas de Mora de Morales, 1907. It's a pictorial broadside verse, full sheet, printed recto and verso, lavender paper, and zinc etching. Wow. University of New Mexico Art Museum. I want to see that. So artists sometimes occupy the space between fine art and popular culture. Kiki by Takashi Murakami is a blend of Western and Japanese fine art, popular culture, design, and anime. It reflects self-conscious consumerism. Smithsonian's Institution 150th Anniversary Float in 1996 Rose Parade in Pasadena. Remembering, imagining, discovering. I've never seen this. This is cool. Um, Artwork that is sentimental or calculated to please may be considered kitsch. I like to say that word. That's probably my other favorite word besides aesthetics is kitschy, like it's so kitschy. So objects or images are kitsch if they display an emotional appeal that is generalized, superficial, and sentimental. I like to say kitschy a lot in this terms of the sentiment part, right? So like if something's really 50s or it has like a certain sentimental nostalgia, it's kind of kitschy to me. Or, you know, a certain time period, you know, then it's kitschy to that era. Camp. We say this a lot too in art. A lot of film stuff too, but camp is a big word in the art world. Camp are objects and images of extreme artifice and often banality that have a perverse, sophisticated, and aesthetic appeal. They reveal another kind of truth about the human situation. That's Susan Sontag. Okay, Tim Hawkinson's Bear, 2005, is a cross between a toy and a monumental art. So that's pretty campy because he's just kind of taking a big toy and make, you know, just like Jeff Koons' big, you know, rabbit, inflatable rabbits. That's just like this. Craft. Craft is often is often distinguished from art. Like the distinction between fine art and popular culture, the art-craft distinction is culturally specific and in flux. This rug is an example of an object that could be classified as fine art or craft. Absolutely. It's a Turkish rug from the 18th century, and it's in Vienna. So it refers to a specific media, craft does, and it's ceramics, glass, jewelry, weaving, and woodworking. It involves making objects rather than images. Objects often have a utilitarian purpose, right? So it's not just a rug. You actually are walking on it. It feels good on your feet. It's not just a piece of art. It's functional. I think that's what you kind of need to glean from that, from craft. Okay, artists. This is the Imhotep, stepped pyramid of Djoser, and tomb complex. I want to go to Egypt so bad. Artworks are the product of both artists and the broader culture. The stepped pyramid of Djoser required more than one artist. Thousands contributed to the construction of this giant pyramid, right? Engineers, skilled workers, laborers, and it was supervised by priests and architects. So everyone was involved in the design and the creation of the pyramids, right? In the artwork. Training artists. Many artists start as apprentices. Leonardo da Vinci was trained as an apprentice to painter Andrea del Verrocchio. In Africa, artists traditionally were trained in the apprentice method, learning the tools and methods as well as aesthetic standards. Most apprentices do preliminary rough work, and the master artist finishes the piece. So there's guilds, kitabkhana, academies, and in the US it's called college. James Hampton, the throne of the third heaven of the nation's Millennium General Assembly. Gold and silver, aluminum foil, craft paper, and plastic over wood, furniture, paperboard, and glass. 180 pieces. Wow. It's at the Smithsonian. I must have seen this. I don't remember it, though. It looks awesome. Some artists are self-taught, receiving no formal training at all. Some work in isolation. Some artists are untrained, as is with the case with James Hampton, who produced this large sculpture in the evenings after working his day job. Making the art object. Sometimes art objects are made by workshops, by the community in collaborations. Peter Rubens maintained one of the largest and most prolific workshops in the 17th century Europe. Peter Paul Rubens' Abduction of the Daughters is 1617. In a collaborative activity among professionals of equal standing, the knowledge and skill of each collaborator are essential to the final artwork. Japanese prints were produced were products of collaborations among skilled professionals. You would have an artist, a block carver, a paper maker, and a printer. So those are 4 artists all working on one piece, right? Beautiful. Basket Fairy, 19th century. Community art making. Many people contributed to the making of the AIDS memorial quilt. So art also brings people together. Art is often innovative and unique, while at the same time borrowing from existing styles and symbols. Innovation is making something that is new. Self-expression refers to the artist's own ideas or emotions embedded in the works of the art they make. In the lower right corner of Genesis, Jean Quick to see Smith has drawn an image of a 700-year-old Native American ceramic vessel called Mother and Nursing Child. This shows the importance of recreating and preserving old forms. Jean Quick to see Smith. The role of the artist. So depending on the culture, artists may be ordinary people, hello, skilled workers, priests, people or of special or prized skills. In Bali, making art is tied with everyday rituals, and almost everyone participates. That's beautiful. Wow. It's crafted of dyed rice dough. Wow. And used as offerings made during temple festivals by Balinese women. Ball artists of West Africa are skilled professionals, but their names are not associated with the sculptures they make. The owner of the piece performs rituals, develops the artwork's spiritual cult, like the ball-seated female figure, which represents a spirit wife. Artists may be considered people of special or prized skills. During the Renaissance, many European artists were considered to be creative geniuses. Leonardo is a great example of that. I mean, he just did everything, though. I mean, he was trying to invent flying, he was painting, he was, an advisor. This is Joseph Beuys. Artists can be spiritual leaders in their community. 20th century shaman-like artist Joseph Beuys is known for creating work intended to help heal the human spirit after the horrors of World War II. I actually love his work. The Pack, 1967. Volkswagen bus made in 1961. Each equipped with fat felt blankets, belts, and torchlight. All right, that's the end of chapter 1. I'll see you in chapter 2. Okay.